One of the most frequently asked questions is around what type of property should I buy? Should I buy something that's established, or should I go for the new home and land package that just got advertised to me online? In this video, I want to use logic to approach this, and it may help you in your own decision-making process. So if you're interested in what my thoughts are, then definitely keep watching. Hey guys, my name's Ravi and welcome back to Personal Finance with Ravi Sharma. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button because I talk about real estate, cryptocurrency, and financial freedom. Now, if you're new to the channel, there's two things you need to know. I wear a black t-shirt every day, pretty much. And number two is I really like KFC. When I'm not eating KFC, I'm focusing on running my buyer's agency, which is one of the fastest growing agencies in Australia. And we have almost 30 full-time staff. So if you're interested in getting help around buying the right types of properties so you don't get screwed over, then definitely use the link in the description below. Go and head to the website and you can check out what we do, how we do it, and there's some more info that you can find there. Now, what I want to focus on is established properties versus new properties. It is so easy to get caught up in the web of lies that are out there when it comes to the real estate industry. And that's why I want to be here, demystify it, and make it simple for you to understand what the pros and cons are. Now, you may still decide after watching this video, you're going to be like, I don't really care about Ravi's thoughts, and I'm going to continue doing what I need to anyway. But the purpose of this video is to just save one of you from making this mistake. This is one of those things that people get caught in, realize 3-4 years later, and then it's too far gone and you try and rebuild, but honestly, the opportunity cost probably kills you anyway. So let's jump into my whiteboard and cover off a few topics. Now, the key things that I want to talk about: fees, capital growth, opportunity costs when it comes to borrowing capacity and equity. I also want to talk about tax savings, and then I want to talk about rents. Now, some of these will overlap with each other, so we're going to go ahead and really break it down for you. Now, number one is fees. Okay, so you get hit up with a couple of ads, or you see it on realestate.com saying house and land, it's so expensive to build, but this seems like a no-brainer deal. Let me explore further. Well, in order to understand how this all works, there's a couple of ways people buy property today, which is very important for context. Number one is traditional, and that could be that you go online today, straight after this video, it might be one of these tabs that are open on your phone, and you might go, okay, I can find something on realestate.com, I'll give the agent a call, and I'll buy the property. So that's traditionally how it's done. At the moment, with the market moving so quickly and the rise of more competition, people have opted to go for a buyer's agent, like myself. So people come to the agency and say, Ravi, I'm time poor. I don't know what to look for when it comes to property. I just want to make the gains. Or, hey, I really love property. I love doing the research, but I get analysis paralysis. And unfortunately, the market is moving way too fast for myself. I need you to go and find a property for me that's going to tick all the boxes. So people will come to me and say, okay, I'm going to pay you a buyer's agent fee, which could be anywhere between $15,000 and $20,000. And then you got the property. So in option one, you do it yourself. Option two, you've outsourced it. And option three is you go to an advisor or a broker or an accountant, and you may have been hit up with an ad as well by one of these companies, and they say, look, don't pay for a buyer's agent. What you need to do is come on board with us. We'll charge you maybe 2K, maybe 5K, or maybe absolutely nothing. We'll do it for free. We're your best friend. So there might be a no fee or low cost, and we'll find you a property anyway. In fact, we'll do it even better than most buyer's agents, because what we'll do is we will find a brand new property. Now, whether it's an off the plan apartment, whether it's a new house and land package, we can find that for you. Now, if you are novice at this and you go and see something that's old and something that's new, and you're like, there's no upfront fee, there is an upfront fee, naturally you're gonna go for the option that has no fee or low fee, and for something that's newer. Because that's what we got taught is, hey, if it looks good, it must be good. So you'll go for this option and only realize after the fact that there's so much crap that you don't know about. Some of you guys are lucky where you've gone into the process, realized, or you've seen one of my videos on YouTube and gone, oh, I think I'm getting caught here, and been able to escape. And I know this for a fact because some of you guys have become clients going, hey, this was what my experience was. Others, unfortunately, get caught up in this, and you don't realize the mistake until much later in the process. Now, what happens in this is you'll still get a property, except the reason why these places have so many staff and big office and all of that is they're still running a business, but you're sort of wondering, how do they get paid? They're getting paid from the developer themselves, and they get paid a lot more than a buyer's agent would. When I started out on the YouTube channel, I started gaining a bit of attention, and I got hit up with a bunch of these developers and companies that would market their projects and say, look, you could go down the path, which might be a bit more ethical. They didn't say that, but I thought in my head, might be more ethical, which is be transparent with your pricing, go out there, charge the fee to the client and nothing else. Just do what the client wants. Or you could just say to the client, you're charging a little bit or there's no fee. And what you'll do is in the back end, you'll get developer incentives, you'll get all this money come through in the back end, and you'll make a lot more. Now I'm talking like anywhere between 5x to 10x more money if I went down this path. I'm about to show you exactly why this doesn't work, and it definitely does not sit well with me. And the reason is because you could go out there and say, okay, I'm gonna purchase one house, and the purchase price is $500K, and I use a buyer's agent, so it's $15,000 to $20,000. I can live with myself knowing that I've charged something like this because we provided the right service, we got you into the market with speed, and we know that we've done all the data and due diligence like you would outsource for any service. However, you could go down the other path, which is I could buy a property and go through one of these advisors or the broker or the accountant saying, hey, like you wanna buy a property, don't worry about that old stuff. I'm gonna show you some new stuff through these connections I have. And the property could still be worth $500K, probably charge you nothing up front, but the value of the property is actually $450,000. Now on the surface, it'll be $500K. You'll believe it to be $500K, but is it really $500K? Now, if you think about it, if you knew this, would you buy a house or unit for $500K that's actually worth $450? Well, no, you wouldn't, because that would be really dumb because you've just lost $50K, right? But because you don't know about it, you get caught up in this. And I'm gonna give you an example of Chris, who came to us and said, okay, this is exactly what happened to me. And I said, yeah, I'm gonna make a video about this because I think there's more people out there that really need to know about this. Now, Chris in 2018 buys a property for $600,000, a new house and land package. In 2024, it's worth $620,000. So that's $20,000 in 6 years, which equates to about 1% growth every year. And he went with the no fee model. He went and approached someone that said, hey, look, here's my ad. Here's something new, you should go and buy it. There's no fee. So he thought, hey, I've always wanted to get into the property market. Why wouldn't I do this? And in what would be one of the biggest property booms in Australia, his property grew by $20,000. It's not even keeping up with inflation at this point, okay? Now, he came to us and obviously said, okay, I want to buy a property. We bought one for $450,000 in 2023. It's now worth $490,000. He paid a buyer's agent fee, but the property's grown by $50,000, which is about 10% growth in the first 12 months. Now, if you knew this information, you would go, well, why wouldn't I pay for a buyer's agent or do it traditionally and do it myself and find an established property versus going for a new house and land? And when we're talking about fees, which is the first topic here, it's because you're unaware of these things. It's very deceptive, and honestly, it's something that really makes me cringe. But unfortunately, a lot of people are doing this without you noticing. And the thing is, the property hasn't just grown from 600K to 620. It's the fact that the property was never worth 600 in the first place. It was probably worth close to 560. So it's grown by $60,000. 10% over the period of 6 years is still not great, but that's why it looks like there was no growth in the property. And this is a big reason why people need to be aware with what's transparent, what's being charged to them versus what's not transparent, and you should be aware of that. Now, the next part to this is opportunity cost. So you could go out there and say, okay, I'm gonna go and buy this land and then eventually a house will get built on it. Well, guess what? When there's no house, 18 months later, there's a house. If everything goes to plan, you'll have a house there. But for 18 months, you make no income from that because it's just land. Because there's no income there, you've probably got no tax deductions. You then have a lower borrowing capacity because if the land is there, I've got debt. I've got to make my repayments, but there's no income. And then I've also got no usable equity because if the land's there and I've entered into a house and land combination, I'm like, well, I don't know if I can borrow against it. Versus if you went and just said, okay, I don't want to wait for a house and land to be built. That's probably going to be like dog shit when it comes to numbers anyway. I could go out there, purchase a property now, right? In 12 months time, I probably have enough equity to go and buy my second property. I can use the equity from the first one, which allows me to hold more assets, right? Which allows you more growth. And when you put it this way, you're like, okay, I've only put a small deposit down. It's okay. I don't need to worry about it. Now the land's there. Okay, that's okay. It's going to get built. But in that meantime, the market's moving. And you unfortunately got sidelined because you thought it was a great idea to go and buy a house and land package. Now, chances are that house and land could be worth a lot more in 18 months. But why would you take the risk of not knowing? If I can go out there in this market, buy a property, have it in the right location, have proven data over a long period of time, then that's where I want to be. I'm not just going out and gambling, hoping that this property goes up in value because, hey, it might be a new growth area. What if there's no demand? And there's nowhere to tell because the suburb's completely new. Now, yes, you could go and decipher that based on surrounding suburbs and things like that, but you could just go into an area that's established, has long-term history around property prices and why there's infrastructure going in to actually boost job nodes and things like that. Now, what about tax savings? So we've addressed the fact that fees don't really look like what they actually look like. We've addressed the opportunity cost, which is I could go and build out more of a portfolio faster in that time versus developing something. Now it comes to tax savings, because the accountant, they want to basically reduce your taxes. So they'll go, look, it's time to reduce taxes, buy property and reduce your tax. You've probably heard that at some point when you're starting to make a lot of money and you've got tax bills and they're like, oh, I've got a guy. In that case, you could get looped in because a newer property gives you tax depreciation. And that essentially means that the house itself, the building itself, depreciates. So it's an accounting figure. It's not the fact that it's losing its value. It's the fact that on paper, the building actually depreciates. So the wood, the bricks, everything that goes into it actually loses value. So that's why they say buildings depreciate, land appreciates. That's where the saying comes from. Now, that looks like it's awesome because you're saving a lot more tax. But on the flip side, banks don't really care about this. They go, well, what's your position look like before your tax return? And you might be negative cash flow and you go, well, don't worry, I've got depreciation coming in. Yes, to a certain extent, that's going to help you with your taxes. But the banks don't really care when it comes to borrowing capacity. So there's a pro and con to this. I want to save money, great. But at the same time, the banks don't really consider this when it comes to your borrowing capacity. So let's use an example here so that we can really drive this point home. If I buy a new property now, the saving I may get is about $8,000 a year, and it grows by about 4% every year. That's a pretty good situation. You're saving on taxes and it's growing, happy days. But if I was to go, well, I could buy an established property and it might give me $2,000 worth of savings, but it grows at 7% per year. On a 500K property, that's about $15,000 per year, compounding tax-free. Okay, so let me just say that again. In the first example, I'm saving cash flow. Tax-wise, yes, I'm negatively geared. Yes, I'm depreciating. I've got my tax. Awesome. But if I can grow that property by $15,000, which is almost a 2x return on what my savings would look up front, I'm now in a position where I can grow more wealth faster. And that is the end game. Because rich people focus on making more, not saving more. And that is always the key driver here, is 99% of people out there will go, how do I save on taxes? How do I save money on this? How do I save money on this? Versus the rich mindset, which is how do I have an abundance mindset? If I'm having money flow in and flow out, how do I make more? And that is the big takeaway here. When it comes to rents and not knowing whether it's going to be rented in 18 months, whether there's demand in 18 months, and what sort of rental growth looks like, because you better believe that when someone's going to go out there and buy a piece of land, there's probably like 400 other lots around it, which means supply is really high in the short term. In that time, vacancy rates might be really high because, hey, it's a new area. People aren't accustomed to actually moving there. Now, over time, that can change, but what you're looking for is micro speed and macro speed. So yes, you can't time the market. You want time in the market, but this can significantly stunt your growth because you got sold this dream that, hey, it looks new. It's fantastic. Look at the brochures. But if you're paying an extra $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, in some cases up to $100,000, you're actually screwing yourself over. So whether you use a buyer's agent, whether you do it yourself, it is completely up to you. But I just want you to be aware that when you're going out to these advisors or you're getting advised about buying a property from your broker or your accountant, ask the question, how much are you making from this deal? And if their face goes red, it'll just be another reminder to subscribe to this channel. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks, guys.